Welcome once again, folks, to an episode of Fluffenbusters. I am Mr. D, and I'm not joined today by Mr. White, as we are trying I'm trying a bit of an experiment to see if I can find a willing volunteer from the community who's willing to pick a film that they enjoy, and we can have a chat over it. Kind of what I do with Mr. White, but a bit more, almost an interview kind of thing, but not quite. I want to keep it quite nice and relaxed, chilled. And so today, the good Mr. Gruff, aka Adam Nicol, the Fluff Master himself, has deigned to join us. Welcome, sir.
If experiment bad, why blood skin hurt? Ah.
Indeedy. Now, what film are we watching today, mate?
Oh man, we are watching the greatest film of 1992. I say that with a lot of joy in my heart, because this is Split Second, also known in other countries as Detective Stone Split Second, which that gives me the idea that at some point somebody wanted this to be a franchise, and I am annoyed that it never got to be one. This is the best film of 1992. This is the best film where Rutger Hauer is in a sunken cyberpunk future hunting a alien or possibly Satan through the waterlogged streets of a 90s, 2000s London.
I know it. It's great. I mean, I've just paused because I'm watching it via Prime through a free trial for one of their sub channels. Don't worry, I'm going to cancel it. I'm not going to throw them any more money. But happily, it notes rated 18. For flashing images, nudity, violence, alcohol use, smoking, and foul language, which is fantastic. That's everything a grown lad in the 1990s could ever want from a movie, really.
It should have been 18 for overuse of chocolate and chocolate abuse. It is an incredible film. Absolutely incredible.
Yeah, I have vague memory. I'm sure I've seen it in the past, just because Rutger Hauer is one of those actors who is stuff. He had a massive filmography, but people don't realize how deep it really was. And it sounds churlish almost to call him king of B movies, but he was normally a sign that you're going to get at least a bit of quality out of whatever you were watching.
Oh yeah, Rutger Hauer never turned in a bad performance.
Oh God, no,
never.
Yeah. On which note, should we get the film rolling so that way we don't give the editor kind of palpitations trying to work out where we're starting from?
Absolutely, absolutely.
So, if we hit it on 3, a 1, a 2, 3, and there we go. So, what exactly drew you to Split Second? What's your history of the film?
So, I have a friend. My friend's name is Graham. We have nicknamed Graham El Fantastico, which kind of tells you everything you really need to know about him. Graham is a cinemaphile of the highest order, but as much as he loves movies in general, he has a certain laser-focused niche, a certain type of movie that he adores. And in a conversation, this is back in like 1998, 1999, something like that. We're having a conversation, and it'll be later than that. It'll be like 2004. We were having a conversation about films, and he went, "Oh yeah, well, Split Second is obviously the best version of the 90s action movie." And I think, "What's Split Second?" So we went round to his house there and then, and proceeded to watch Split Second. Which I then have to go, yep, I agree. This is the best version of the sci-fi action thriller that will ever be. Ever. I will put Hardware as the second best.
Fair play. I mean, I just love the fact that it starts off with the tagline, London 2008. It's like, And then they posit after 40 days of rain and nights of rain. It's like, hang on, this is Britain. We're used to that here. That's not enough to sink London.
So I still don't know how they got these flooded London shots. They are genuinely impressive. They are
Yeah, I mean, this wonder they've done from going from following the police hovercraft, I should say, which
yes.
beautiful, up onto the London across the Docklands. That's a hell of a wonder, you know. That's a
Hmm.
great piece.
I think it's one of those things as well where if you're just kind of watching it without engaging with it, you can just kind of like not really think about what it is you're seeing. But whatever they've done there, it's impressive to get that flooded, dank-looking London.
I mean, I think it's just London how it looks at time in the morning. To be fair, it when the tie's in, it has that kind of look,
Yeah.
especially when you get to a certain point and the sun's just right. So I can dig that. It's a hell of a look, and oh my lord, the water budget for this film must have been nuts.
Oh yeah. And you might ask the question to yourself, why have I never heard of this amazing film, this split second, this king of early 90s action, possibly sci-fi, possibly horror, depending on your belief of what the thing is that causes all the problems later on. Uh, and the the answer to that is very simple. This film came out the same week that the LA riots began.
Oh,
And as a result, weirdly enough, it got absolutely binned. Yeah,
I can understand that. I mean, it's a tough ask to get people to go to see a film that's following a cop
yeah,
at that point.
yeah. But Detective Stone is one of the. He's called Detective Stone.
God, it,
I miss these days.
yeah. Sometimes you don't need subtlety,
No.
and there's a reason some of these things have become pastiches because they 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 were real things, ways that conventions people used, and it's just reached the point nowadays you can't watch anything. Really, Detective Stone?
Mm, yeah, it's a name. It's a proper name.
Yeah.
Just using a little flamethrower to
Oh man,
Sorry,
and
I'd forgotten about that.
the little the circular sunglasses as well. It's
Oh, he is so animated, hurts.
really. I mean, if you told me that they took all this from a manga to start with, I would totally believe you. I mean, Rutger Hauer for the longest time looked like. I mean, actually, to be fair, for most of his life, you could put him in a design an anime character based on any one of his looks, even right up to his death,
Oh yeah,
because the man just had the face that you just didn't think was. No one should have a face like his.
no,
Not in a bad way, just because.
it's it looks
Yeah,
like a face that's been made by somebody who wanted to make a hard-bitten action hero.
yes.
Yeah, but one of the weirdest things about watching this is I'm always under the impression that there should have been a sequel to this with Anthony Stewart Head.
Oh, yeah.
Just
As
Anthony
as
Stewart Head as the Rutger Hauer's Detective Stone's younger brother or something like that.
yeah, especially early 90s Anthony Head.
Hmm.
Mm. From that period that a lot of people forget where he was in the Gold Blend adverts,
Yes, and breaking into
which
people's houses to give them chocolate and coffee. Wait a minute.
yes.
Wait a minute.
And God, Ian Drury. I mean,
Yep.
this film actually does have a pretty decent supporting cast. You got Kim Cattrall, Alan Armstrong, and Pete Postlethwaite, of the names that I recognise right off the
Hmm.
bat. But then Ian Drury from the Blockheads,
Yep.
who did have a fairly decent career in little acting roles across his
Yeah.
life. So fair play.
I mean, yeah, your injury is JJ, which that's such a great name.
Yeah.
Michael J. Pollard, he's in here as the rat catcher. Alan Armstrong as Thrasher, Tony Stedman as O'Donnell, Stephen Hartley as Foster McLean, Sarah Stockbridge as Tiffany, Pete Postlethwaite as Paulson, Kim Cattrall as Michelle McLean, and of course Rutger Hauer as Harley Stone. Harley
God,
Stone.
that name. Oh, it. You're right. You just think that needed us. There should either be a book series or a film series or one of these. One of those early '90s low budget late night TV shows built around that character.
Oh, there you go. That's how you get Anthony Stewart Head. You're making this into a TV series starring Anthony Stewart Head as the Harley Stone character.
Yeah, that would actually work quite nicely.
Yep. Now to build a time machine, go back to 1996 and get this made as a TV series.
Yeah.
I don't know how much you want to get into the film itself and how much you want to kind of sort of lead the conversation into other things, but there's a load of really interesting facts I've got about the film. Mostly how its name changed multiple times.
So, no, let's crack on. What have you got? Because I'm genuinely intrigued.
So it was originally written to be a film called The First Power, right? It was going to have a slightly higher budget, starring Harrison Ford. That did not happen, as you may be able to tell. So then that was, the budget was taken down. Harrison Ford passed on it. Wasn't interested. The script that was then sent to Rutger Hauer. At this point, it's called Black Tide, and Hauer is like, instant, I am in. I want to be part of this. This is absolutely my type of thing. It gets moved from LA to London for a flooded London, due to the effects of global warming, and it's the original script is too close to another film, so they then had to go back and completely rewrite the script from scratch.
Okay.
Rutger Hauer, of course, is happy enough to get in on this, and he wants to be part of it. The script that it's too close to is a film that was released in 1990 called The First Power.
Would it have happened to have been the same script by any chance?
Nobody's spoken about it, to be honest with you. It's just this weird little thing that's what was going on there. No one's quite sure. So yeah, Howard gets brought in. The script gets changed several times. The creature moves from being a supernatural creature to an alien creature, then back to a supernatural creature, which is why you get this film has this weird halfway point between the two.
Huh. That's real interesting.
Yeah, because the scripts have moved back and forth so many times that it ended up just having this weird hodgepodge of the two ideas, and everybody was like, "No, I kind of like that. That's a really good way of doing it." It was then filmed in 8 weeks.
Wow. For a feature film, that's pretty brisk.
Yeah. Filmed in 8 weeks, mostly at night.
Understandable that as well, yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's an absolutely insane schedule. Stephen Norrington was the guy who created the creature. Now you might know Stephen Norrington from, oh crikey, so much stuff. He was involved in Blade and did all the special effects works for Ghost Rider. He's done a lot. He was going to do a remake of Clash of the Titans for a while, but then that went to Louis Leterrier. Norton's done loads. Blade, Leader, Extraordinary Gentleman. Played Michael Morbius in the alternative ending to Blade, if you've ever seen that.
Did he?
Yes.
Oh, I hadn't realised that.
Yeah. Stephen Norrington's a hard-working guy. He's used to work for Dan Winston, and then as you say, he went off and did his own stuff and did loads and loads of work.
Fair
The
play to him.
music is done by Wendy Carlos, who you might know from A Clockwork Orange and The Shining
Ah.
and Tron.
Oh, now
However,
there.
however, you won't hear any of her music in this because she was roundly rejected and
Oh.
replaced.
Ouch.
Yeah, I know. There's a lot going on behind the scenes here. Yeah, she was roundly rejected, and she had a soundtrack by Francis Haynes and Stephen W. Parsons, who you might know from. Well, just I mean, it's one of those things where unless it's Hearts on Fire, you're not going to know anything that they do because it's all quite low budget stuff. And of course, the other thing I really wanted to bring to your attention here is that there are multiple cuts of this film.
Oh, okay.
So the Japanese VHS has like 4 scenes that aren't in any other version. The Italian version is edited slightly different, and it's
Oh.
just called Detective Stone. And there's a version of it that's appeared every now and again, but isn't on any of the DVD, Blu-ray, or streaming versions. Is a scene where a monster kills a jogger by ripping his heart out.
Oh, that's nifty.
Yeah, yep. It's brilliantly. It's such a weird collection of things that all happen all at once, and it all happens in a very, very short space of time. This film goes from a finished script, once the script's finally finished, to a film in like 5 months.
Crumbs. I mean, they really were motoring on this one.
Yeah,
That's kind of impressive.
yeah. It's,
And the
it's,
thing is,
it's
it does actually look good.
yeah,
Not, I mean,
yeah.
I can understand why Harrison Ford passed because I imagine he was still suffering from his Blade Runner trauma at that point.
Yes, well, 1990, 1992 when they filmed it. Yeah, it's he's into his clear and present danger in the fugitive state by then. So yeah, he's top of his game, making tons of
Yeah.
money.
Mm. I mean, honestly, I'd have been intrigued to see an engaged Ford in this kind of role because Blade Runner is famous for everything that went on that one,
Oh yeah,
and Ford's performance gets various different opinions on why Deckard is the way he is
yeah,
throughout the film. But people tend it can be forgotten that whilst he's famous now as being kind of not cranky so much, but funnily curmudgeonly in a lot of his
hmm
interviews, there was this point where Harrison Ford was a megastar in probably the truest sense. Throughout
yeah,
most of the 80s and into the early 90s, he was pretty much one of the guaranteed hit makers in
absolutely.
cinema. There were very few of his films that were misses, and almost every performance he was pretty lauded for overall. So his name attached to this film would have probably been a much more different project at the end of the day, but could
I
have been
think
fascinating.
what you'd have got would have been a much more measured film,
Hmm.
but you wouldn't have had this punky, weird attitude
No.
that it's got. I mean, look, your main character is just stealing a load of cigars from his police chief. He's
Yeah.
just, without a secondary thought, he's just reached in. And it's not the type of thing you see Harrison Ford doing. Rutger Hauer, though,
Yeah.
just bent.
How by this point, I mean, by this point, he's done Roy Batty, he's done Lady Hawk, he's done The Hitcher. He's done so much stuff at this point, and he's become this character actor that you can rely on to just be, I don't want to say effortlessly cool, but not the sort of presence you ever want to mess with.
Yeah,
because he always feels dangerous. In anything he's in, his characters always have that edge to them.
Yeah, it's never the same kind of danger, though. The
Mm.
danger here isn't what you got from Roy Batty. Roy Batty was this measured, scary, focused individual. Detective Stone is a man on his last.
Oh yeah, this dude
nerve.
is this dude has trauma.
Yeah,
With a
he is
capital T.
breaking down. Yeah, and he's barely keeping it all together.
Yeah. However, can we just take a moment and appreciate having Alan Armstrong and Pete Postlethwaite in the same scene together? Because that's pretty solid supporting acting right there. Because they both came into their careers, from what I remember. I've never seen them in anything when they were young. They always seem to be in like their early 40s at least in anything, which is. But they're also reassuring presence on the cast list.
Yeah,
So
both
fair
of them
play.
are incredibly solid workers. That they worked for years on stage rather than anywhere else, and as a result, it gave them a lot of good character tricks to be able to fall back on.
Absolutely. And I mean, it's often the way with British character actors. They'll have spent a lot of their career on stage or even come to theatre relatively late in life.
Yeah.
So
I do like the fact, though, with that scene, you have the world's most Yorkshire big budget movie.
Yes, that is very true.
Having two proper Yorkshire lads.
It's not helped by one of the other characters being called Detective Dick Durkin. Which it's just
Dick Durkin. Well,
and just lying in the crime scene. That's
yeah.
This film's just I love it. It's great.
It's just got such a punk attitude to what it's doing. Yeah,
it does. Yeah,
there's a way of reading this film, which I think is really interesting, where everybody else is in a different film to Rutger Hauer. Now, that's not saying that that's a bad thing. It's a really good thing. Rutger Hauer is in this very British, punky, anarchic type of film. Everybody else is in something a bit more measured and a bit more, thoughtful sci-fi.
Well, everyone else is in a bit more of a proper crime thriller with a sci-fi edge. He's one who's actually in the. Is it an alien? Is it a mystical entity, supernatural horror flick? So
is it alien? Is it demon? Is it either or? But what's cool is, as the film goes along, his partner moves from one of these films to the other side. And you get to see that change in what happens to somebody when they're put up against something that is so unknowable. It's fantastically done.
It is, and it's always hard to do because sometimes you can have a character like this just come across as the real asshole who refuses to believe, and suddenly it switches. But to do more, to actually show that progression is, especially in a film, because you've got that much shorter runtime, is a bit harder. And God, those poor extras getting creamed by. Oh, that's brilliant. Really is. Now, when I started this, I did say that I wanted to try and have a bit of a chat as well. So on that note, because I'm sure this is a bit of a meet the team, meet the fluffers kind of thing.
Hi.
What was your journey to come to the Fluffenhammer? Because you set it up about, what now, 8 years ago?
Yes, 8, nearly 9. Good God. It won't be. It'll be next year. It'll be 9 years of the fluff.
Yeah, that's a terrifying thought to realise. Damn.
Yes. Well, what it is, or how it all begins, many years ago. A group of us, me, Rob, who has the sexiest ass outside of JLo, and my friend Stu, we got together in 2008 to work out how to do a podcast on Transformers. Like, we're going back that far.
Yeah.
I went to the first auto assembly that I'd gone to in 2009, and from there we used that as a springboard to launch the old oil house. The
Okay.
old oil house ended up being massive in a way that the fluff has never got to, and that's fine. I am okay with that because the old oil house got ridiculous. So what that ended up being was we would gather together on a kitchen table with a single microphone, a single digital microphone. We would start talking about all the bits and bobs that had gone on that week. We have the Twitter challenge, which of course you wouldn't have now because Twitter can do one.
Yes.
The Twitter challenge would always be something like a hypothetical situation. Like, you have to pick 5 Transformers to be in a Scooby-Doo show. Who do you pick and why? And you get some absolutely amazing answers, and it was a ton of fun. Absolute ton of fun.
I can picture that, yeah.
We did that for 400 episodes.
Crikey.
Yes. At some point, we then split that into the Old Oil House Roundtable Show and the Old Oil House Lock-In. So the Lock-In would be first week, the Roundtable Show would be the second week. So the Lock-In would be news, listener questions, all that type of thing. Roundtable, we'd pick a topic and we'd get into it. And that's where my love of research comes in. And the reason I'm bringing that up is that many, many years ago when I was in school still, those 1,000 years back, one of the things I always wanted to get into was journalism.
Okay.
That was a real passion of mine. I did really well at English. I really enjoy the act of research. I think research is a really interesting thing to get into, which is why I've now ended up with this like brain full of weird facts about everything from Abraham Lincoln being able to send a fax to a samurai to, I don't know, whatever topic you want to bring up. I've probably got some weird facts about it because it's just what I enjoy doing. And I was always told back then that journalism isn't something that are going to make it in. You have to be very lucky to make it in journalism. So look to something else. And of course, it being the mid-90s, everybody was just pushing you towards learn how to use computers and work with computers. All right, fair enough. And I'm always angry at 2 things that my second school did. One was kill my love of drawing, and the second one was kill my love of researching. It took a long time for me to get back to those 2 things. In my first book, Pig Iron, I speak about one of the reasons that book's so important to me is that I was told not to take in art GCSE. Just don't do it, you'll fail. Right, okay, brilliant. So as a result, I didn't draw for a very, very long time, and I was into my late 20s before I picked up a pencil again. It's a long, long time. It's
absolutely.
So these things are kind of all like meld together with the old oil house, where I now have this opportunity to constantly research and look into, find information, gather that information, present it, and it was a lot of fun. That then ends up being this thing where we start talking to people like Nick Roche, James Barber, Emilio Santalucia. And then after about 4 or 5 years, the oil house decides to expand. We move out a little bit. We get out from underneath the Transformers name and start looking at well, let's just go for pop culture. Maybe a bit less, maybe about 4 years.
Yeah.
We started going for, let's go for pop culture as a whole. And then so we got the name, the Old Oil House, the public house of pop culture, because it had a very happy pub atmosphere to it.
Yeah.
Which
Understandable. Yeah.
brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And then we started doing things like talking to guys like Jason Trost, who's a director who has done The FP, Wet and Reckless. If you haven't seen a Jason Trost film, I recommend going to see a Jason Trost film. Jason Trost is an amazing guerrilla filmmaker who spends no money but somehow manages to make his films look incredible. And we had a wonderful conversation with him about Wet and Reckless, where it's like, so how many film permits did you have to film in Thailand? Oh, none. None. We filmed the entire thing separately. Take my hat off to you. Amazing. That ends up then being the pinnacle where we get to spend a couple of hours talking to Dirk Maggs. Dirk Maggs is a hero of mine, and we were blown away by how gracious he was, and he was the loveliest guy. From that then comes first audio drama I produced, Death of Optimus Prime, where we took everything that Dirk Maggs gave us and everything that James Roberts had written for his comics, smooshed them together, and we managed to make a full-fledged audio drama, completely community-based, Death of Optimus Prime. And it was
fantastic.
Massive. It exploded. And I lived in fear for about 6 months that IDW were going to come round and just go, take that down right now. But everybody was really happy with it. John Barber, he was quite happy with where it was when he was the editor of the Transformers line to IDW. Pretty fun.
Fair shout. In
lead...
fairness, sorry,
That's right.
It did seem that IDW were fairly into encouraging the fans during that period.
Absolutely they were. If you remember rightly, IDW were actually publishing fan comics in the back of the Shun series multiple times.
Yeah.
Because that's what they wanted. They wanted good community engagement.
Absolutely.
And for a long, long time, they got it right. They got it absolutely bang on the money. So, where was I at? So yeah, from there, we start then talking to... No, it's all right. This is a long-winded story to get to this point, but it's... there's lots of areas kind of cover.
I suspect that it's my fault for starting this in the first place, but I'm thoroughly engaged with this because this is great.
So from there, that leads to massive conversations with Simon Furman, who I then discover used to live not that far from me, where I live now. Right? He used to live in a village called Thursby, which is literally a 20-minute drive from where I live. Even less than that, it's a 10-minute drive, 20-minute bus ride. Thursby, of course, being a place where there used to be a massive shrine to Thor before the Christians pulled it down and broke up the rocks and turned it into a church.
Yeah.
So Simon then, through conversation with him, I discovered that Simon is really close friends with my local comic guy, a guy who called Tommy, sadly passed now. So that then led on to this really weird experience where Tommy would then send me horrific messages to take to the conventions in order to pass over to Simon Furman. Which then leads to this really weird experience of talking to a lot of the comic guys if we knew each other really well. So from there, I get a good relationship with Livio Ramondelli. I get a good relationship with just all these people, and then that leads to talking to the voice actors and stuff. And the old, pardon me, the Old Oil House just keeps going from strength to strength. We get invited to conventions, live shows. We get ridiculous numbers. And remember, this is all pre-Patreon being a massive thing. So we're doing all of this off just our own backs. This is constant day-to-day work. It lasts about 9 years. 8, maybe 8. And at this point, we have the Old Oil House Roundtable show, which is now fortnightly. Has two teams, Team A and Team B, who are doing different things. So we have talking about games, or we're talking about my favorite episode of anything I've ever done about anything ever, ducks, fictional ducks. Because
there are more than you think.
We filled a 2-hour show with fictional ducks. Just discussing fictional ducks. It's insane how much that went. But, from there to horror icons, through to just name a theme and we covered it. We did loads. So we had that.
Yeah.
Stu moves over to Welcome to Kimia, which is the Transformers news show, which he does with Tricky. Tricky also has a show that he is doing, which is the Happy Hour, which is a Friday night phone-in show, which he did for a year and a half. Remember, I am editing and producing all of these and hosting a few of them. We have the Old Arcade, which is in theory a retro gaming show where we're talking about retro games, and we each vote on a game we're going to make each other play for the next show. Usually the most painful thing to find, The Lion King, is a shit game, and I hate everybody who voted for it. That was awful. So,
I mean, if you give people the choice and Lion King is one of the options.
Yes. You know what was really good, though? Shakan. Shakan on the Mega Drive. I don't care what anyone said. That was amazing to talk about. So, yeah, as you can tell, all of this is going on. We also, at this point, try doing a puppet show, which would have been really good, but my day job changed and I ended up working nights, so I had less time. So, unfortunately, we couldn't get the puppet show to go very far, but that was really fun when it worked. And yeah, with actual puppets, we got somebody to make actual puppets. Yeah, we had a lot of stuff. And we had I think at one point we had 20 different people working on various things, either as a host or as a co-host, just turning up two shows. It was big. Yeah, we got a name for ourselves as the hardest working podcasters I've ever heard of. Because we were doing massive amounts.
I have to admit, I'm genuinely surprised that I never really connected with you guys at that point. Because I don't think I ever listened to the Old Oil House. I was in a weird spot. I didn't really listen to podcasts until into the 2010s.
You got to remember, when we started this, we're still 3 years away from podcasts being a thing.
Yeah,
like a real thing. We are established before podcasts became a thing. It's insane. There are very few podcasts that started around about the same time as us that are still going. Greatest Ever and Mysterious Universe, and I think that's all the ones I can think of from the top of my head. This is a long, long time ago. Which is really funny because when you go right the way back to being sort of 8 or 9, I would sit with my little Tommy Fisher-Price recording thing and I would make radio shows. And it's funny how all of these things coalesce in your later life. Technology got to the point where I was able to kind of pull back on a lot of these things from throughout my life, combine them all together and make something. And it did incredible. The amount of times we were at a convention and somebody would come up and be genuinely just happy to talk to us. And it's that's something that we've done. We've affected someone's day in a really positive way. It's just nice.
That's very cool.
Yeah, it was really cool. Led to some weird moments, like being asked for my autograph in an elevator. I want to get out of this elevator right now. This feels wrong. I dislike this intensely. But of course, my favourite memory is the one where doing a live show, we had a little ongoing joke, as you might imagine, where my friend Rob was one of the co-hosts. He was constantly being called Hot Robimus because the man was hot. And we're talking like he's an LA7, that,
Yeah.
he's a good looking guy. And what I didn't know was that everybody in the audience was going to join in when I did it. So you just had the room full of people go, hot Robimus. And I've never seen a man's soul die as quickly as that moment.
Oh, that's great.
So, yeah, the old house starts to come to an end. I feel like I've done everything I can do with it. So I hand the reins over to Stu, and he runs it for the next couple of years. And I step back, and there's other things I want to try out. We look at doing a Sonic the Comic issue by issue. Well, actually, what we were wanting to do, what I thought would be an interesting way of doing it, would be look at storyline by storyline rather than issue by issue. So we did a couple of episodes of that, but that really didn't go anywhere, unfortunately. It's called Speedlines. It was me, Matt, Sam Palmer, who you might know from various UK comics, and Chris McFeely, who he was slumming it at that point with us. There's no two ways around it. So we tried that.
That's a decent old lineup, though. In fairness,
Absolutely.
Sam McFeely. That's one. Yeah.
But unfortunately, with various things, we didn't manage to get that anywhere. McFeely then takes that idea, goes with Dave, and creates Sonic the Comic, Sonic the Comic, the podcast, which I'm happier that exists than the one that we were trying to do, because what they've done is so good. It is incredible work. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. So we tried that. I also managed to start work on The Creeks, which is myself, a guy called James, who I'm desperate to get back on the Fluffenhammer at some point, and also another guy called Chris, who I think is probably best to not draw any attention to. There's a reason that The Creeks got cancelled quickly.
Okay.
Legally, I think it's probably best not to say anything on that one. And that was breakdowns into mythology and cryptids and scary stories. It could be anything from compiling a load of Bigfoot encounter stories to our most popular episode, which was a completed character assassination of Derek Okora.
Nice.
Oh, Christ, we went to town on him. Yeah, the man had been dead a couple of years by that point, but we didn't stop us.
It's deserved, and if any of his stuff was real, then he would have been able to make his feelings known to you lot.
Indeed. And then from there, we also did a character assassination of Geller, because that man's also a fraud. We were going to do one on the Warrens, but unfortunately that never happened. So The Creeks kind of comes to an end. One thing and another. By this time, I've been back into Warhammer for a couple of years now, like maybe about 2 years. Getting interested in Age of Sigmar.
Yeah.
And me and George have recorded a couple of things for Fluffenhammer. Just been kind of like throwing ideas out there. We're trying to see what it is. We've got a couple of guests in. We're doing bits and bobs. With The Creeks going, it's like, right, well, the Fluffenhammer's the only thing I'm doing now. So let's just focus on that. What can we do to expand that out? We did all sorts. We've thrown many things at the wall to see what sticks. And if you've been paying attention over the last 8 years, you'll see that we are constantly changing and evolving. We're trying to do different things.
Oh, yes.
When COVID happened, my son had just been born. I just got married. So it was like, right, well, let's just go into being a news show for the time being, just to try and make sure that we still got stuff coming out. The time is going to be against us. And then last year we shifted from being that back into being a topic-based show, which is where we're at now.
That's fair dues.
The Fluffenhammer is a weird thing where this isn't the most successful show I've done by a long shot. The old Oil House roundtables at the height were, put it this way, that they were beating up BBC Sounds programs. Yeah, we were hitting really, really hard, but by simply being one of the first people to really run with them and do all sorts. The Fluffenhammer it's a voice amongst many voices, so we're never going to get to that level again, and that's that's fine. Because what the Fluffenhammer has done, it created a really good community of people banded together underneath the header, underneath the banner, and it's been brilliant to see that. It's a different type of thing that's come out of it, and it's wonderful.
Yeah, I mean, it's done a lot to keep me in the hobby, certainly. I probably wouldn't be as engaged as I am today if not for the Fluffenhammer, to be fair.
Yes, making you spend money. That's what we do.
Well, yes, and giving me crazy ideas. But you were also welcoming, because I think it was my friend Pete pinged me a link to you guys. He said join the Facebook group, and I did. And then
Yeah.
you've just all been so welcoming. Even when I kind of stuck me on and said, if you need someone, I'm willing to ramble. But you
Well,
regret that decision.
no, not at all. Never. Because one of the things I'm always very one of the things I find really important is that you don't have to be anyone special to get behind a microphone.
True.
Right? Anybody can do this. Absolutely anybody can do this, providing you have a clear idea of what you want to present to people, and that could be a presentation, like presenting yourself rather than a topic, or it could be presenting a topic, or it could be a mixture of both, or any of the above.
Yeah.
As long as you're not just getting onto a microphone and not really focusing on something, anyone can do it. Absolutely anyone. Yeah, and I'm somebody who suffers from like extreme social anxiety and the like. If I can do
Yeah.
this, anyone can. But then that's the interesting point about all this, the sort of psychology behind it, is that you can present a version of yourself through the microphone to other people. And one of the things that was very important when the old oil house kind of came to an end for me and whatnot is that person, the Grufflock personality, so to speak, was gone. I was done. Yeah. I'm not hiding behind any of that anymore. It took me a little while to kind of realize that was a crutch along with alcohol and thing. I was using that stuff just to be able to present a version of myself forward. That's not very healthy by a
Fair.
long
Yeah.
shot. So once we've kind of done that, and people will probably notice that the Fluffenhammer isn't the old oil house if you're somebody both. They are very separate things. I am not creating as much off the cuff weird jokes about everything constantly. It's a very different experience.
No,
And
but
it's
that tends to be limited to the Christmas
yes, the
fan vote.
my favorite part of the entire year. Yeah, oh yeah. It was a shame that we didn't really get anything for that this year, because that has been
Yeah.
constantly a highlight. The sheer creativity that people have come up with in order to sneak jokes into those things, insane to me.
Yeah, some of those have been great, but it's just a tribute to the community you've built, to be fair.
I mean, all I ever did was provide the space. Everybody else fills it up. It's
Yeah.
there's I think there's a lot to be said about you can try to move the moon in order to make something. If nobody connects with it, if nobody wants to engage with it, it's a lot of energy. If you try to control it, you are wasting more energy, because this is a herd of cats. Always be a herd of cats. Cannot control where the community is going to go and how it's going to evolve. All you can ever do is provide the space and hope that people are going to engage with it in not the way, but in a way that you hoped for. And that's what happens in a lot of ways. That's definitely what's happened to the Fluff. In 8 years, I've had to banhammer 2 people, and yeah.
It's generally been a surprise that that's been the case. But we've been fortunate that we're a fairly reasonable lot, I think.
Yeah. I think what's happened is in a world where extremes are the norm, people want to have somewhere where they can just soak their brain in a relaxing bath.
Hmm.
And there is a time and a space and a place to get angry and to get proactive against the world.
Yeah,
That doesn't have to be everywhere.
it doesn't.
As everybody who has mentioned anything that I've done over time, you'll have seen the evolution of fairly centre-left, centrist type political person to I'm going to be full-blown socialist living in the mud and my rocks, grunting at
Yeah,
people from my herd of animal skins, because that's where things have gone. And what's happened in a lot of ways, people kind of cottoned on to that with, well, me or George coming out and directly saying, this is what we think. If you think this, anything else, you're wrong. Which, that's silly. That's not how it is. But it's telling that the only times I've banhammered somebody is because they have singled out people to punch down. That's it.
yeah.
Both times.
Hmm.
Everybody else has either been fairly sensible about how they're presenting, or they have been willing to engage in a conversation, because I do not throw people out straight away. I will have a conversation. I will always
Yeah,
try to have a teachable moment. That is vastly more important than just getting someone's back up by saying, no, you're done.
absolutely. Because a lot of folks, sometimes they just need someone to just say, give them a little reminder that they're maybe stepping a little outside the realms of what they should do.
Yeah, just think about how you're presenting yourself. Think about
Hmm.
how it comes back down to that. Think about how you're presenting yourself, how that is going to be affecting the people around you.
Yeah,
If
I
you
mean,
come
not
into a group and you're being a dick, no one in our group, in this community, is going to attack you, but they will step back, not engage with you. I will be informed and I'll deal with it. And that it has created such a good mindset within
hmm.
the community. It's wonderful.
Sorry, I'm just marveling at Rutger's losing his shit moment on screen right now.
Ah, man. Nothing
Oh,
like sepia and super tight leathers.
yeah, they had a really interesting idea of the British police force, didn't they?
Yeah.
Mad Max has a lot to answer for.
I mean, even though he's talking with an American accent, God, that makeup on his arm is incredible. Even though he's talking with an American accent, this is British Mad Max. Yeah,
Oh yeah,
Mad Max is super dry and desolate. British Mad Max is incredibly damp and full of coffee and chocolate.
yeah. I mean, that's pretty much how it would go. Yep, Australia burns, England just gets wetter and wetter.
Yep, absolutely, absolutely.
Ah,
So when you asked me to do this, obviously Split Second was the first film that I thought of.
yes,
We already covered Event Horizon, so this is
yeah.
very much, yeah, okay, this is the type of film I really want to get into. But the other thoughts I had were Last Action Hero,
Oh,
because I firmly believe Last Action Hero is one of the most important films ever made, especially, yeah, during the 90s. And it's a shame that what that film actually is does not get more love.
I
Same to
mean,
me.
Last Boy Scout is a film that was so ahead of its time. For nowadays, it'd kind of be one amongst a fairly broad number of
Ah,
movies that do
I
what
didn't
it
say
does.
Last Boy Scout. I said Last
Sorry,
Action Hero.
Last Action Hero. Yeah.
Last Boy Scout
Oh,
is an amazing film.
yes.
The woman just staring at the
Oh,
cigar. Um, But
Now
yeah,
there's a slip.
man. But yeah, it's because that Last Action Hero is such a meta examination of everything
Mm.
that's wrong with action films.
Yeah,
And
it's
no one discusses it, and it drives me insane.
yeah, and it's a real shame because it's Schwarzenegger at pretty much the height of his drawing power, taking a step back and going, you know what, I want to take my personality, what people know me for,
Hmm.
and just deconstruct it. Let's take the piss.
But it's not just taking the piss; it's adding a veneer of realism
Yeah,
by
it's
doing
put
things like I went to school, I went to college, I went to university. I spent time learning to do the stuff that I do. I don't just
mm,
roll up and blow things up, you know.
yeah,
And he talks at points about like the actual trauma of how many people lost just because the film needed a hook, an edge to get started. And it's that film is insane, and Schwarzenegger does such an amazing job with it.
mm.
But the other film that I thought of, realized quite quickly that there was no way that that would be an enjoyable listen, is a New Zealand film called These Final Hours.
Oh God, I've heard of that one.
Oh, it is the best film I'll never watch again.
Oh yes, that's up there with Fred. That's Survivors. That sort of the world's ending. The
How
world's
you
ended.
respond. Yeah,
Yeah, not as a hero, not as someone high up. Just how do people respond to that?
yeah.
And oh,
It,
plates. Yeah, that's the sort of movie you can really only watch it. It's good to watch it, but once,
yeah,
because man,
yeah. It is not a it's not an enjoyable experience. I'll tell you that much.
mm, yes, it's not when film does that. I mean, it's. I mean, honestly, part of the reason I love film as much as I do is because it can do that. It can be everything.
Yes.
It can be the films re, you rewatch over and over. I mean, or go out and buy multiple formats. Go see it again and again when it gets re-released at the cinema. It can be the films that are your comfort food that you just slot in when you're feeling rough. It can be the films that make you really uncomfortable and ask questions about yourself.
Hmm. Or it could be Flight of Dragons.
Yes, which is joy.
I do have to point out, just because I know we're kind of bouncing around a little bit here, but
Yeah.
one of the things I love about this film, stuff
Mm.
that's happening in the background, like the posters there, the smog kills and warning that there's a plague pit and there's going to be substance from it.
Yes, there's a lot of really good background stuff going on in this film. I've
The,
quite enjoyed that. In fairness, just seeing the little bits, the hint that this is a world that this is a city that's kind of screwed.
yeah, it's. Yeah, I think actually, funnily enough, I think that how his hair's just changed. I noticed
Oh
that
yeah.
before. It's one of those things where I think you're absolutely bang on the money. Where this is a British Mad Max, but the first Mad Max film.
Yeah.
The collapse hasn't happened yet. Everyone is just barely holding on.
Mm. It's kind of fascinating. I do quite enjoy that idea of films that are before's happening, you know,
Hmm.
and people that are just trying to ride it out as best they can or keep things going.
Yeah. God, these
It,
plague victims. Oh, whoever did the design work for this is like
mm,
done such a great job in making you feel very uncomfortable.
yeah, I mean the effects work overall in this, I think, has been pretty good.
Oh
In
yeah.
fairness, it's.
Once again, it's one of those films where I don't understand why this film is more well known. It is loved by more people. It's
it
not
does.
a cheap little direct-to-video film.
No, not at all. This clearly looks like a film with a reasonable budget behind it that deserved to be watched on the big screen. I mean, I had the experience last week. I went and saw a special showing of Aliens. So at Cineworld, because they were doing like an action season. And I've watched Aliens double digits of numbers of times over the years. I own it on so many formats, it's not funny. And yet, even then, I was watching it on the big screen, and there were things I was noticing for the first time.
Yes, you do. You do.
There were things I hadn't twigged before in the sound, some of the little visual pieces, just because partly it's the effect of being in the cinema. You're focused far more than you ever are at home. No matter how good your setup is, you are never as focused as you are as in a cinema theater. But also just having it that size and the sound mix and everything, just yeah, I'd love to have seen this on the big screen. It's one of those ones that, like you say, it deserves to be more well known than it is. I mean, I would happily put this on as a double bill with Mad Max, the original.
Oh yeah.
Maybe try and find a few. Actually, this, Mad Max, and Escape from New York. How's that for a triple?
I mean, I am absolutely in for that. Because if you have a Venn diagram of the super seriousness of Mad Max and the gonzo nature of Escape from New York, this sits very happily between the two of them.
Yeah. And that actually works for the fact that one's incredibly American, one's incredibly Australian. This one, because it is filled with Brits in the cast and it's set in London, feels very British.
Yes.
And that's perfect for that trifecta.
Oh, absolutely.
I
Absolutely.
might have to try that for a watch along sometime as a
I think you
special,
should.
as a treat for folks.
I think there he goes. He's gone. He's broken. He's now in the coffee and chocolate stage of his life. But it's a great way. I know it's played for laughs, but it's a great way of showing what immediate trauma does. It changes his entire personality. He is completely and utterly is left the building. You know, he snapped.
I have to say, I kind of want Howard just to be handing him more and more cups of coffee.
Yeah, I do feel that there's
it's such an obvious gag that Naked Gun's ruined me for stuff like that. You know, you can't watch a lot of cop things without going to something like the Naked Gun, thinking, or Police Squad, and just going, yeah, this is.
Oh
Yes,
yes.
give me parody.
The best joke ever made in anything ever is always going to be, "Who are you and how did you get in here?" "I'm the locksmith. I'm the locksmith." So you know Alistair Duncan here, who plays Dick Durkin?
Yes.
Do you know what else he's done? Because he's a surprisingly interesting career.
I did have a quick look at his IMDb because I recognised his face. But please go on, give us some of his hits because there's.
So he starts off as sidekick to Taggart.
Yep.
Right. He was in the 1988 as to do in Hound of Baskervilles, the Jeremy Brett version of Hound of the Baskervilles.
Ooh.
Then of course you get split second. He then turns up in Babylon 5, All American Girl, and The Marshal. Television films like Trick of the Eye and Tower of Terror. But this is the interesting stuff. He has been doing voiceover since the year 2000. Batman Unlimited, Animal Instinct, Warlord Battlecry, Legacy of Kain, Defiance. Yeah. The good stuff.
Yeah, his VO work is extensive.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Mimir in God of War Ragnarok.
Yep. And my personal favourite thing is, of course, Alfred Pennyworth in The Batman and Adrian Toomes in Marvel's Spider-Man.
That's
Yeah.
fantastic.
It's weird. Whenever there's a Spider-Man and Batman cartoon on at the same time, the voiceover cast always shifts between the two.
It is funny that, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's been pretty consistent as well. It's not just
Well, since
you
the
look.
60s, yeah, it's
Yeah,
always been a thing.
to the extent that Mark Hamill really didn't try to differentiate Hobgoblin from Joker at all.
No, but he says things as the Goblin as a Hobgoblin that he would never say as as the Joker.
That's fair.
There's a couple of moments in that series where you're just like, are you really allowed to say that?
Yeah.
The
That's
19 Spider-Man animated series, I am sure that the pacing's so quick with it, it's just to try and get it out the door before anyone noticed what they were doing.
Oh, absolutely. That it's a crazy show when you stop and look at it for any length of time. It's like,
Well,
wait, what?
it is. It truly is, because that 90s Spider-Man animated series isn't something that people discuss. You know, people talk about the music to it, but no one talks about how weird that series is. Because that
Yeah.
series exists because of a James Cameron Spider-Man film that never got made.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's why Doc Ock is Austrian and built like a brick shithouse, because it was Leonardo DiCaprio as Peter Parker Spider-Man. It was Arnold Schwarzenegger as Dr. Octopus. And I can't remember who was Green Goblin now. But
yeah, it was one of those films. The casting or the reports about it would come out every so often in that period, and it's just like, oh, and then we got told it's not going to happen because it would be too expensive. It's like,
yeah,
oh,
but it's the reason that Green Goblin doesn't turn up until like the last 2 seasons of Spider-Man the Animated Series, because he died in the film. It's why there isn't an origin story in Spider-Man the Animated Series until season 2, because it was going to be covered in the film.
ah. I actually hadn't
That's
realised that.
yeah,
To be fair,
no,
that it was
it's
that's really
fascinating.
interesting.
Yeah, the everything that happens in that first season of just opens the fridge, blood everywhere. Ah, hell. Looks like I need to go shopping again.
I mean,
Everything that happens in that first season of Spider-Man the Animated Series, it comes out of the working script for the James Cameron film that was never made.
huh?
Yeah, crazy, isn't it?
It is, and I mean that show was it was wild because it was from that period of the '90s with Marvel, where the comics were kind of bonkers.
Yes, and I love 90s Spider-Man. I genuinely love what Marvel were doing a lot of the time with Spider-Man, because it just
Yeah,
gets weirder and weirder.
yeah, this was the era of Maximum Carnage,
Hmm.
Alistair Smythe, and his weird cyborg body, which still weirds me out to this day.
Yep.
It's yeah, it's such a crazy show, and the way it ended as well, the revelation of it,
Yeah.
MJ had been kidnapped like a season ago. This
And
version was a
a Hydra Man
clone.
clone. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah. And then, if memory serves me right, the last episode where meets Stan Lee. Stan Lee
yes,
out.
because
Yeah, and it's just this really nice ending.
hmm, 'cause it tells Pete that MJ is still out there somewhere. I think,
Yes.
if I remember rightly.
And then it became Spider-Man Unlimited. It's not a bad series, but
Yeah, that one wasn't helped by the fact that it was bloody impossible to watch it over here.
yes, it was. For a very, very long time.
Hmm, which is a bit of a shame, but it was a fun stretch because you went from X-Men '97 to X-Men to Spidey. I could never really get over how Spidey shifted a bit more to the pastel shades.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that I got the logic, but it just never felt as vibrant as X-Men did.
No. And X-Men was a lot more traditional animation without any of the computer work.
Very true. Spidey was a real game changer for a lot of how it used CG to do a lot of the cityscapes and stuff. So,
I
if that's what
do
made it
always
work,
think that it'd be really fun to be go back in time and just like, so we need this introduction to the Spider-Man cartoon. I mean, we don't really need to go too hard with it. And just everyone went, I think you'll find. Wow, wow, wow. I don't think
Yes.
you'll find you don't get a choice in this. It's like, no, hang on.
I'm sorry, we've already unpacked the electric guitars.
I've already got the kazoo out. Oh man, what a great theme tune that is.
It was. And when they shortened it for some broadcasts, it still worked really well.
Mm-hmm. I think my favorite thing about that cartoon series, the naming tradition that kind of ended up being completely unworkable by the end of season 3. Do you remember the Neo Genesis Nightmare Part 13, Sins of the Father Part 4, Venom?
Oh God, yeah, I do.
That's a title.
Yeah.
that's a page worth of words as a title.
Yeah, it went places, that one. And also, it's pretty much the reason the movie Blade got made as well.
Yep. Blade got a couple of episodes on.
Yeah, because
What the hell was his? Because he didn't have Whistler. He had
Hannibal Caine, Ron Reynolds' character, because the original version of Caine is supposed to be an older character.
Mm-hmm.
And they tied it into Michael Morbius, as they do tend to a fair bit in, actually not so much recently, but
plasma.
Yes.
I need plasma.
Oh.
Still a better Michael Morbius in the film.
Yeah. Still a massive dick though as well.
Oh yeah.
But that's Michael Morbius. If you try and make Michael
I thought
Morbius,
you just meant Jared Leto.
Well, yeah, I'm going to see Tron Ares on Saturday, and
I'm
kind
not.
of. Well, I don't. I have an unlimited card, so it's only cost me time.
Ah,
So
true.
I'm going to go and see it nice and early in the morning. So I just want to see what it's like, because I liked Tron Legacy. So
I like Tron Legacy as well. It is one of the best 2-hour music videos I've ever seen.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
And Daft Punk were
it's
kind enough to
stunning
give.
to look at.
And Daft Punk were kind enough to also give us a decent performance by Michael Sheen.
Yes.
Although I still maintain the best Tron sequel is Tron 2.0.
Yeah.
That game has no reason to be as good as it is. It's from
One
that.
second, I'm just being informed by my small and hairy flatmate that it is time for me to turn around and let him onto my lap.
Aha! The furball has arrived.
Yeah, bow figs. So my apologies for any weird purring and trilling that you might now hear.
That's all right. But yeah,
No.
Tron 2.0 was from this period where Monolith were. Monolith were this really interesting studio for a good chunk of the late 90s and early 2000s. Because they started off, I think, with, I want to say Sin might have been their first.
Yep.
And then they moved across, because then they did Shogo Mobile Armor Division, which...
it was so good.
Yeah. I spent years trying to get my copy to work on my systems as they got upgraded.
Yeah.
And then GOG happened.
Mm-hmm.
And that was one of the first games they listed, and it's one of the first things I bought from them. Because if you love action movies, if you love action anime mecha shows, go and play Shogo.
Oh.
It's a love letter to
Yeah.
those sort of, and it has a fantastic soundtrack. I adore it.
Just to go back to the film a second, a lot of things just happen in quick succession there. But Kim Cattrall has just been stolen by the demon, possibly alien, that teleported through the couch to get to her, and now Stone and Dick have entered the building to save her with handheld miniguns.
Yeah.
Just, these are things that are currently happening on the screen. I just wanted to point that out.
The film really isn't messing around anymore. It doesn't have any subtlety.
No.
The alien has a flair for the dramatic, clearly.
But
It
it
doesn't
does
do
the
things the easy
Ghostbusters
way.
thing of trying to kill her from... it goes to get her from the sofa. So, it might be supernatural.
Sorry, I just love that he's only just realised he has these two gouges in his chest. That's quite funny.
Yep. Whatever to be. Oh my god. Oh man.
I think someone needs to introduce this alien to the idea of a ballpoint pen, though.
You think all these problems would be... Don't smoke that on top of me. I have a mortal wound there. Oh my god. I mean, out of interest, had you ever seen this before?
I'm sure I have, but because bits of it do feel very familiar. It's kind of funny, though, because I know I haven't seen it recently. I'm sure I've seen it in the past, though, because so much of it's like, this rings bells. I recognise what they're doing here.
Mm-hmm.
Oh! Punch him in the chest wound. Jesus.
Oh man.
I mean, he's fully on board now. He's lost the tweed. He's into the leather jacket and t-shirt phase.
Yep. His breakdown of a character has reached its climax, and now he is full-blown cigar chomping, coffee swilling, chocolate imbuing, minigun holding, leather wearing badass.
Yeah. It's very funny. But also very...
Now, the question that me and my mate Graham always ask each other is, does this happen to Dick because he is seeing all of the weird supernatural stuff that the alien's doing? Or is it just by being in proximity to Rutger Hauer?
I mean, it's a question, isn't it? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I'd probably go just being in vicinity to Harley Stone would probably be doing it.
And just seeing all the stuff that he has to deal with day by day. And because when we see the flashbacks to Harley, he is dressed, I assume, in what is the police uniform.
Yeah.
Because it's got all the police... I mean, it might be leathers, but it's got the police insignias on it and stuff.
Yeah, he's in the standard garb of what the patrol guys are wearing.
Mm-hmm. So it's by seeing all of this stuff, partner was killed. That's what's done this to him. And you're seeing the exact thing happen to Dick, and I think it's a really interesting way of having character development, because character development doesn't have to be, by the end of it, the character's in a better place than he was at the start.
Yeah.
Because Dick is, by the end of this film, he is gone. You know,
Yeah. I mean, there's a question here. Did Stone have someone to do what he's doing for Durkin?
Well, we know that his partner was killed by the alien stroke demon creature. Because we see that in the flashbacks. His kind of gets pulled underwater and killed, and that's what starts Stone on the hunting down of everything, of the creature and all the evidence he's collected over the years of what this is doing.
Yeah.
So I think at that point, Stone and his partner were probably still fairly decent cops.
No, I was just thinking because Stone seems to actually fill a role in the force.
Oh, I get you.
I'm thinking, was there someone else before him who did this, and after what happened to his partner, he took Stone on as like
Protege, yeah.
Stone's in with Durkin,
Oh,
or
maybe.
did Stone just kind of his part of he's so messed up that he worked it out by trauma as he was going through it, which is
I
possibly
yeah. I
more
I
fun.
I don't think that this version of the X-Files has a multiple people in the department.
Yeah,
I think there is one Harley Stone. There will only ever be one Harley Stone, and it's just sheer coincidence, bad luck that Durpin's going to get turned into another one.
yeah. Sorry, I just have a fascination with it because I've been reading a lot of the laundry files and things like that. I just love the idea of that some of these departments have someone who listen to the dressing files, but you have someone who is a specialist. The weird shit's there. People know about it, but they try to keep as few people
Yep.
dealing with it as possible. Which is
Look
a
at that.
fun
There's a
idea.
poster up there for drive to Calais on the motorway.
I mean, they.
It's just
I
great. It's just
yeah. I mean, I know the tunnel was in progress at this point, but there
Yep.
was a period where instead of the tunnel, they wanted to try and build a bridge
Yeah.
because some people are completely insane. And building a bridge across the busiest shipping lane in the world seems like a sensible idea.
Yeah. There's no reasons why that wouldn't work. High
Yeah,
winds and all those, How far down do you have to sink the foundations? Deeper than the tunnel. Oh, okay. I
yeah.
get you.
How wide of a bridge do you need to be sensible
Oh no, you just
for it
need
to make?
2 lanes. That's it.
Man,
So
Durkin's just having the
Tennis
worst
says
day
that.
possible.
Oh, absolutely. He's now sewage. Um, I am convinced this is another Battersea Power Station filming sequence.
Hmm.
Which, if anyone doesn't know, Battersea Power Station is the place for so many Doctor Who and Red Dwarf episodes. It's not even
Yep.
funny. Which is why,
Ah,
now that Battersea Power Station's a big shopping mall that has the only Transformers branded store in the country, they made their own Titan, which I can't remember what it was called now.
oh, it was something. I think they said it was something Plex. What was it? I
Yeah,
can't. I'm
Superplexes.
yeah. I'm still amazed that that's a real thing, and its transformation the diagram looks so elegant. It's so simple. You
Yep.
just think, but why are the other ones? Why are Metroplex and Ultramax Fort Max so complex in comparison? Why can that?
But
It's so weird.
I do find it stupid that they didn't call it Battersea. That would be a good name.
Yeah.
And that there is no Red Dwarf or TARDIS reference on him at all.
Well, retro labels will be on board for that.
Well, I mean,
So,
they're not making a toy out of it. It's a poster.
oh,
It's a character.
that's a shame. Honestly, I thought this was just the announcement that they were going to actually try and do what.
No, they're not going that far. If they did something like that, it would be a blocky.
Yeah, that'd be fun though.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I still need to get to that shop at some point. I've got this plan at some point when I run to do one of my run-ups to London to hop on the tube, go to Camden Market and the Gundam shop that's popped
Mm-hmm.
up there, and go to Battersea Power Station, visit the Transformer shop. I know
Yeah.
it's not apparently as exciting as you might think, but just to see what's in there and to say,
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah. And you never know, there might be
It's no
some.
Warhammer World, unfortunately.
What is?
One of my favourite things about going to Warhammer World is when somebody goes around the museum for the first time, and first couple of rooms, it's like, oh, this is... And then when you get to room 3, you're like, oh my god, this keeps going.
Yeah.
And just that look, that dawning realization that there is a lot here.
Mm-hmm. It's an impressive thing that they've done with Warhammer World.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I first went there, God, 2000, 1999, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it was vastly different to what it is now. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
the hall didn't have its
Theme.
theme to it. Bugman's was Bugman's, but it wasn't as themed as it is now. The shop was on a different wall, in fairness, and the museum didn't exist. There were a few displays you could take a look at that were dotted around the hall. Oh,
I never really, never saw it back then, so it's interesting to hear that.
yeah, it was. It's been interesting to see its development over the 20+ years now. It's been open. That's
Yeah,
a hell of a thing to realise.
it really is. Isn't it?
Mm.
What do you think then of the alien, possibly demon design?
I think that's a pretty decent design. It's fairly clean.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, the head is I'm
It's
getting
not possibly too xenomorph. It is too xenomorph.
yes, but it's also got a bit of venom to it, which I
Yeah.
appreciate. Just for the fact that because it is quite clean.
Yeah, you get the silhouette from it quite nicely. It's one
Mm.
of those things. This film always got a bit of a kick in for the alien derivative, and I do agree it is a little bit derivative, but
Mm.
it's more derivative of Carnage and Venom than it is of the alien
Oh
or the
yeah,
xenomorph.
and honestly, Alien and Aliens were quite a game changer in terms of visual
Oh yeah,
design for monsters, and it's so hard. It's been so hard not to riff on it.
oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you start doing that biomechanical look, it's everyone kind of always goes at it their one way. What Geiger did completely changed the design language, what
Yeah,
these things could look like, because he's
absolutely.
Geiger and he's a 1
He was a weird.
million trillion type human being. You know, there's nobody else like Geiger out there.
Yeah, the dude was weird.
Oh yeah,
A genius, but weird.
I've got a couple of his art books still, and they're fascinating.
Oh yeah, I mean, I always remember we had a couple of them in the library at school, in my
What?
secondary school. Yeah, we had one of his art books. You could not access it if you were not in the sixth form. And yeah, that was very funny. But then I remember we sold it was always a popular seller when I worked in the bookshop, just because his stuff was fascinating. Ooh,
Look at it! Look at it! Just pulls its weird alien stroke demonic heart out.
well, that's different. That's one way to get rid of the beastie. You do a Kano on it.
Yep.
I've That's refreshing.
Yep. Blows it up, shocks it, and then just rips its own heart out. And that is, oh, that's the Hardy Stone way.
And only Hauer can give you a look like that.
Oh, 100%.
See, I want to know how he just hasn't exploded his hand at the same time, given we've seen what those shells do to targets.
It's just impossible to to physically harm him now. What I find fascinating is just how wide he looks in this.
Yeah.
That makes me sound like I say he's fat. He's not fat. He's just wide. He just takes up so much space around him.
Mm. Well, that's the thing about Hauer. He was always deceptive in his appearance, because if you just look at Rutger Hauer, especially through the 80s and 90s, he's a tall man, but he's not. He looks normal proportions, but then you put it next to anyone else,
Mm-hmm.
and he has a presence, because most people, if they're what you classify as a big guy, so 6 foot plus, let's say,
Yeah.
generally you either find that you're very lanky or you're very built. It's very rare for someone to be his sort of size and be in a standard sort of build. But that means if you put him next to anyone else who is a standard build but not as tall as him, he just looks bigger than he really is. It's kind
Yeah.
of interesting. But it's also
Yeah.
what made him a great villain and a great hero because he played everything. He was the definition of a utility player.
Oh, absolutely. And I
If you
always
want
think that his work in Ladyhawke. Once again, not enough people talk about Ladyhawke. He does an amazing job in Ladyhawke.
yeah, you can believe that he and his character Michelle Pfeiffer's are genuinely these star-crossed lovers, and
Yeah.
he feels genuinely heroic.
Yes, he does. And he's just this guy who's constantly had an amazing career of no matter what
Mm.
he's in, and he has been in some absolute rubbish like
Yeah,
Blood and Flesh. That's what it was called. It was something like that.
is that the one
That
with Jennifer Jason Leigh?
yes.
Because funny enough, I learned about that one because I wasn't too aware of it, and then I found out it was inspiration on Berserk.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, because the headgear that Howard's character wears
Yep.
through certain scenes is the headgear that Guts has during his mercenary days.
That's incredible.
That banded sort of partial helm. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that whole
Oh
style
man.
was an influence on the creator of Berserk, which I just learned it randomly. It's like, oh, that's interesting because it's one of those things I want to try and watch at some point, just because I've heard it's not brilliant, but it is interesting. You know?
Yeah. I mean, it is interesting. Very badly put together, but once again, Rutger Hauer, he does an amazing
Yeah.
job. He works his butt off. Oh, this was filmed in 1991.
Mm.
Oh, I realize that.
Yeah. So that split second, then I thoroughly enjoyed watching that. That was
It's great.
yeah. It's one of a. I suspect it probably would still have struggled at the box office, but man, there's a lot to like about that movie.
Oh, there is. There really is. My apologies for all the weird clicking noises. Thinks the cat has now decided that he wants to climb up on every single piece that I need.
I'll, i- is the cat trying to get in on the podcast? Because I'm not averse to that, but they need to come up with
Figs,
decent food. They need to have a decent fugie.
Figs, do you want to come and say hello to everyone? Oh, did you just hurt your paw?
Folks, say hi, pigs.
Ah.
Bless.
Hello, Figs. Oh. Oh, his bottom is now up towards the microphone. That's all you're getting, I'm afraid. Well,
Oh dear.
bye then.
Well, that's one way to give us an opinion.
He's not a fan of the film.
Fair dues. But yeah, that was was enjoyable. That's one that I'm adding to my save list for if I get bored anytime, because that was
Absolutely.
a solid. In fact, because I don't think it's on there, I'm going to go add it to the watch long list because I
Yes,
can,
you should.
because it's my list and the fluffers are stuck with it.
Everyone must pay attention to the list.
Man, the
Oh,
stuff
yeah.
I have on this list is kind of out there. Mainly
What
because
could I? What was that Australian zombie film called? Wormwood. See if that's a TV series. Maybe it wasn't called Wormwood. There's an Australian zombie film which is zombies in cars,
oh, okay, that's
and it's
interesting.
it is Wormwood. Wyrmwood. So it's a zombie film, the real Mad Max feel. But there's a guy who's got a giant van. He's got zombies in like face plates and stuff. He's trying
Oh,
to
that's
turn
fun.
back into humans. It's a really fun film.
Cool.
I've just discovered there's a cool. We'll have to watch that some. Cool.
Yeah,
Yeah. Have you got that on your list?
I have now.
I'll have to think about what other films I can kind of suggest, and just go, "Hey, have you watched this? You got this on your list?"
Yeah, I'm always game for suggestions.
Excalibur. There you go. That's a.
Oh,
That's a.
we did Excalibur.
Oh, you did. Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
Incredible film.
the watch list for the watch long is actually really fascinating.
At some point,
It's
I'll have to go back through and make a list of all the films you already have done. Because I like making lists.
yeah, yeah,
and I wonder why I didn't realize I was neurodivergent until only about 5 years ago.
yeah. That's the point.
Oh
Add
man.
Prey to list because that wasn't on there. That's
Oh
that's something
yeah,
I need to amend that bit of overlooking.
absolutely, absolutely. I think the
Yeah,
watch along's always been a really cool thing that you do, though. I mean, the fact that you've got the first weekend of everyone gathers together to watch a film as a that. Honestly, man, it's such a good idea. I love it.
I mean, it was your idea to start with. I just kind of,
No,
but
I just dropped the Ultramarines movie just to make people pain real, to feed my need to hurt people.
fair, yes, yeah. That certainly did hurt people a lot. Yes, that film will do that. But no, I enjoyed the watch along. It's something fun to try and it gives me something to plan for every month as well.
Yeah,
And just the randomness of what can get rolled up off this table I've built, it's kind of fascinating.
and the fact that you got like D20s to roll the table, it's oh, I do love a good random table.
Yes, and just being able to remove films and once I watched and slot other things in, it's made it a really nice, fun living project to work on.
Yeah, absolutely. But where can people go if they want to watch the watch alongs though?
Oh well, that is the first Saturday of every month over on the Fluffenhammer Discord. If you want to join us, probably just need to ask in the Fluffenhammer Facebook page. But
There's usually a link below any of the shows that I put out.
yeah,
You can
yeah,
follow it.
yeah. We haven't refused anyone joining.
No, never have. Oh,
Yeah,
I'm sorry, yawning away.
that's all right. I get the same feeling. But yeah,
So,
that
time for a nap.
Yes. But before that, where can people find you, Mr. Nicol?
Oh my word! If you go onto Blue Sky, Instagram, Facebook, Threads, you will find any Fluffenhammer stuff. Search for the Fluffenhammer, and on any of those places, we are there. I usually put out every day, sometimes multiple times a day. I'm currently in the point of trying to shift everything around so the releases come out at 5 o'clock at night rather than 9 o'clock in the morning. And I might just start releasing older stuff mornings, and then that's the thing I'm going to try doing as of next week. Which I don't know when this
Fair
comes
dues.
out, but that might have already started by the time this.
Yeah.
So
Well,
yeah.
fair dues.
For my personal stuff, if you go to adnicol, that's adnicol.weebly.com, you will find my personal website, which has got all of my art on. It's got a load of stuff like I did an audiobook version of We Remember It For You Wholesale, which is now on there for free. So you can
Cool.
download or listen to that on YouTube. You can find links to all of my books. They're on there as well. You get on my books.
Yeah, they're actually quite
Currently,
good. I've enjoyed both of them.
I've got too many ideas now. I don't. Yeah. So I
Yeah.
was working on a memory-based RPG where the idea is that you are undead, and the entire point of the RPG isn't to gain levels and fight the big bad, but it's to uncover your memory and find peace. That's the bare concept of it, and that's been something I've play tested in other places, and it seems to be working. And I'm getting it to the point where it's almost publishable. And then, due to a conversation I had with somebody, I've now got the rule set for a jousting game where you're a knight with a sniper rifle on the back of an end.
Now
So if you go to
there's a
the
sentence.
yeah, I mean that's a concept, like, isn't it? It's God damn it. So
Yeah.
at any given time, I have 5 different books that I'm working on, and I need to get at least one of them finished just to give me breathing space. So
Yeah, that's certainly one way to describe what you need to be doing. Certainly.
I've got too many ideas. So yeah, and also on top of that, there's a Patreon. If you want to
Yes.
join the Patreon, come and join us at patreon.com/the Fluffenhammer, where every single week, and we've done this now for nearly a year and a half, plenty
I'm
of
stunned.
episodes.
I'm stunned we've managed to get that many in.
Yep, we have only missed 2 weeks the entire time we've done this.
Woohoo!
Both are my fault, just for being too busy to be able to get things done. So yeah, we have a show called The Deep Dives where we go in publication history of this hobby and we discuss an article found within. Sometimes it's something really obvious like Ugman Regiment, or sometimes it's Dance Steps Space Hulk.
Yes. God, GW were weird once upon a time.
And due to the huge amount of stuff that I had delivered yesterday, we've got enough material now, I think, without looking for anything else, to go for another year.
Cracking, because I really enjoyed those
Oh, they're
chats.
great fun.
Because I mean, mainly because we normally find stuff that we were either both there for or we just missed it.
Mm-hmm.
We've both been in the hobby so long that we have a perspective that can get missed sometimes, but we're not immune to how daft some of this stuff can be as well. We're well aware
Oh,
some,
I
some of it's
absolutely.
just bonkers.
Yeah. It's funny enough, I don't think we've ever covered an article which a poor one, which I think we need to kind of think about at some point. It's like, what's one
Yeah.
that's a bad article that we can kind of get into about?
It's a weird one because, I mean, White Dwarf's history especially, there comes. I don't think they've really had any bad articles per se, but there was a point where the quality overall dropped around where it
Yeah.
became much more focused as a advertisement. But there was still solid content in there. It's just the presentation was a bit
Yeah.
more than
And I think
anything.
it's one of the reasons why we've never gone to either Vision or to the weekly Warhammer, the
Mm,
weekly White Dwarf, because the stuff in there just it
yeah,
isn't worth trying to make content out of because there's not enough of it.
Yeah, and that's a real shame but understandable, to be
Yeah.
fair. It the dwarf's been a real standard bearer, I think, for getting folks into the hobby, but it's also kind of shown where a lot of other publications need to go. Because I mean, if you go to God, it's not W. Smith's is it anymore? Is it what T.G. Jones? I missed when that rebrand happened.
I've no idea. Mine's still WHB.
But if you have a decent Smith's locally, odds on they'll have White Dwarf, War Games Illustrated, Wargaming, and tabletop war games.
Yep.
Those three at least, and two of them. Actually, no. To be fair, there's another magazine which name I've actually forgotten annoyingly, which is the real older one. But those ones, whilst they can focus a bit more on, they do focus on non-GW stuff. Although sometimes you do get a mention of bits in there.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of how the content is organized very much speaks now to it. They've taken on board some of what White Dwarf used to be at one point.
Yeah, yeah. They
So
got
it's
cardboard
become
inserts again, which is
yeah.
great.
So it's become a nice middle ground, which I appreciate. So,
Yeah,
but yeah,
there's a reason I've since getting back in the hobby in 2016, 2017. Whenever that White Dwarf went back to being monthly, that was the first one I bought again. I have managed to
yeah,
buy every issue of White Dwarf since then
yeah.
to add to
Same.
my collection of every issue of White Dwarf that is currently under my bed in boxes from issue 42.
Yeah,
Up to 300 something, which is ridiculous.
it is. I mean, I think I have from like 200 up to where they went weekly, and then like you, I picked it up again from when it started on back up as a monthly. I've got an every issue since then.
Yep.
No complaints.
No.
It's been nice to have it come through the door every month.
I just want them to put more free miniatures on the front.
Yeah, good
Come
luck with that
on.
one.
Get back to that. Get back to doing that.
Yeah. On which note, we shall wrap things up here. Adam, it's been delightful going through this. Thank you so much for agreeing
Yeah,
to
it's been
do
fun.
this.
It's been good
Cheers
fun.
for that. I think this is a good proof of concept. So I might have to find one more volunteer to give it a try. But yeah,
Get
very
Andy.
enjoyable.
Go on, get Andy. Andy'll have some weird film you've never heard of.
I know. I've already asked him to pick a film, and he hasn't come back to me yet with options. I might have to give him a prod.
Yeah, prod him. Prod him. Get a film. Get a film.
Yeah, yeah, that could be a giggle. But anyway, Adam, thank you again for joining me. Much appreciated.
All good. All good. Thank you very much.
No worries. Folks, if you're still listening, thank you very much for joining us on this chat about Split Second and general bit of a fun natter.
Yeah.
And I hope you've enjoyed this. Bye-bye.
Bye.